Billiken fans, welcome back. It is Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you so much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you're commenting every episode. If there's something you don't like that we're talking about, or we're not talking about something, let us know. It's always good to have more to talk about on the show. But it is season 5 of the Midtown Madness Podcast. Once again, we're brought to you by 2 Men in a Garden Salsa. 2 Men in a Garden is my absolute favorite salsa. Like I said last episode, I happened upon the cantina style at a local grocery store. I had to get it. It's been sitting in there. It's been my go-to grazing option in my refrigerator. I've got it poured out into a little Tupperware, and just, every so often I'm popping up to the refrigerator and getting me some 2 Men in a Garden fix. Whether you like it mild, medium, or hot, no matter what your taste, 2 Men in a Garden have you covered. Worried about heading to the store and them not having it after you drive all the way there? That's all good. 2 Men in a Garden has $9.99 nationwide, flat rate shipping. So you can get your favorite flavor delivered right to your door in as much as you want, really, for just $9.99 in shipping. I don't know if we should test that or not. I don't know how much they will allow you to buy for $9.99 in flat rate shipping. 2 Men in a Garden is made fresh with simple ingredients, and it has a ton of flavor. Visit them online at 2meninagagarden.com to shop your favorite flavors, and you can learn more about their Kitchen Hub STL. Don't forget to follow them on social media at 2 Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter for the latest updates. Pete, we got to start with it. It's Billikens softball competed in the NCAA tournament for the first time in its near 50-year history over the weekend, and boy, was it was something. I want to say it was for certain awesome. It was so cool. But they didn't have an easy time of it. Not a little bit at all.
No, and as I understand, Zach, their not easy time kind of started on the ride down, right? It sounds like even their bus had problems.
Yeah, I mean, what would it be? It wouldn't be a Billiken story without a little travel drama. The bus breaks down, the air doesn't work. I don't know if those two things are connected. They blow a tire. Things were stacking up against this team to pull off any kind of an upset from Jump Street. But they got there, and it looked like they had a blast of a time. From the videos and the pictures shared on social media, it just looked like they truly were taking it all in. And enjoying the ride.
Yeah, it sure looks like that, Zach. And I think they had the right mentality, to approach this thing, because when you're going up against the number 4 overall seed at their place, and it's like a true softball blue blood powerhouse in a cathedral of their sport, it's just like you just have to soak it in and enjoy the ride, and whatever happens, and just kind of play your best, because man, oh man, are they a tough matchup.
And what a preposterous juxtaposition between where the Billikens play and the University of Arkansas's Bogle Field. I mean, they had a massive indoor practice facility. They've got the concourse. It's a true AAA minor league ballpark.
It looks great. It looks great on TV. It's very photogenic. It's like every angle of it is quite flattering. Whoever designed that place really thought it out well, and it just looks like a great place to take in a game. Unfortunately, neither of us could get there. I had my own sports to coach this weekend. Shout out to my U10 boys soccer team that just finished an undefeated season. I'm very proud of them. But yeah, couldn't make it all the way down to Arkansas. And I know you couldn't either, but it sounds like we had a pretty good little contingent of SLU fans there. Some of the regular posters on Billikens.com made it there.
Yeah, Katie Shields. Yeah, Katie Shields made it down. Was there. By the way, shout out Okie Billiken for the cover art on this week's episode. He sent along some pictures. So I the one was really good. Well, they were all really good, but one worked out really nicely on the cover for this week's episode. Nice. Katie Shields made it down there. Sounds like Chris May and Janet made it down there for the first game, but I believe they either one or both of them had to come back for the graduations and baseball senior day. Before we, let's not, I won't, no reason to bite off anyone's head this time, right?
Not at all. Not at all. It was a busy weekend for everybody. But let's start with this game, Zach. The first game, they ran into an absolute buzzsaw with the number 4 overall seed is what I got it mixed up with there. Arkansas on Friday the 12th. This was a tough game, Zach.
Yeah. Turns out the Razorbacks are pretty good. I think we kind of knew that. Pete, I want to get your honest hope for this one going into it. Where was your head at? Were you pure sit back, no expectations? What were you hoping for from the Billikens on this game?
For me, it was just to make it a full 7-inning game. It was to not run into the mercy rule, and I knew the odds were not in our favor, right? Like this is the disparity. What SLU's RPI coming into this game was like 160 or something like that, to kind of put in perspective what it is. And Arkansas is obviously a single digit one. And the contrast of that, I think, is even greater than in men's basketball.
By far.
By far, yeah, because when you're talking about like sort of the mid 100s in men's basketball, that's arguably kind of a trap game. Like that's not a team that you're going to beat by 60. But in softball, that's a much bigger difference. You had commented upon just the physicality and athleticism of the players on Arkansas, on some of these other blue blood teams that you just cannot compete with. It's a totally different level. It really is.
I mean, they are tall. They've I don't want to go into get me in trouble territory here, but like they're big players. Like there were 2 or 3 Arkansas Razorbacks who were just that specifically. They were just taller, stronger, way like we saw the contrast watching SLU women's soccer more so early in this run of NCAA tournaments they've been on. Yep. This is another level. Like the disparity is so big between the haves and the have-nots in softball. I mean, it doesn't just stay with the facility. That's the starting point. And I mean, this is what it's still what women's basketball was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, and I think honestly the best comparison I could think of is like football. Like when you look at FBS versus FCS football, the difference in size and physicality and athleticism of the players, I think it's more like that. And when you think about it, the top division of football really is just 120 teams. And you could argue even further that it's really just the power conferences anymore. And when you get outside of that, the drop down in the ability of like here are the guys where the future of NFL is coming from, right? And then here are the other guys, and then here are the other ones, and there's that level, and I think that's roughly more akin to what you see kind of in softball here. Is just there's just a different level here, and they were awesome, Zach. I mean, like you gotta hand it to Arkansas. They were incredible, but I was still hoping selfishly to kind of put them on the ropes a little bit to push them, to challenge them. And so for me, it was going 7 innings. What about you? I mean, did you have any other kind of hopes as we entered this one?
I think heading into this game, I really wanted us to see either score a run or not get run ruled, as you said. And we'll discuss more later, but my expectations quickly shifted. I think after that, I guess we can just talk about it now. I honestly thought after that first inning, it was get a hit, get on base, don't get shut out. And I still was on the run rule. like the top of the first, I was still hoping to not get run ruled. I think by the second inning, it was probably get a hit, get on base. But I mean,
Yeah.
besides the stark contrast between the haves and the have-nots in this tournament, I've been locked in. This tournament's great. It's NCAA softball tournament is so much fun and is so underrated, and it's just it's entertaining. My ADHD loves this shit. It's an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I'm on to the next game. Who's next? Who's playing next? What color are they wearing? Like it's great. The colors, it's great. I love it. I can't say enough about it. But Arkansas got 5 in the bottom of the first, and at that point,
yeah,
that is when you're like, okay, this one's over. Let's get out of. Let's just please don't let them score like 20 runs.
Well, so then they get one more in the second, right? And then you get out of the third unscathed. And so after 3 innings, you're kind of like, okay, maybe they settled down. Maybe they've kind of like adjusted to what this is. Maybe they're going to be okay. And then in the 4th inning, Arkansas gets 4 more, and that's really all they needed to put this one away. Poor Taylor Hockman had to face them. She was on the mound for all 10 of those Arkansas runs. 8 of them were earned. I think SLU had 1 error in the game, so 2 of those runs wound up being unearned. But I think we probably should spend some more time on the Arkansas pitcher who was phenomenal, Zach. Peyton Burnham threw a no-hitter. You almost buried the lead in this one. Yeah, striking out 6 Billikens in the process. So this right-handed freshman, as you said, former Oregon Gatorade Player of the Year, she's been outstanding this year with 83 strikeouts and a 14-2 record. This was not an easy task. Zach, she was phenomenal.
Yeah, honestly, I think it was painfully obvious from the end of the top of the first that Burnham was gonna at least throw a no hitter. I thought it was a foregone conclusion. I mean, I had hopes. There were we'll talk about it, but there were a couple Billikens that had some really good at bats. But from that first inning, my expectations, my hope was that the Billikens would get a base knock. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But she's not really even Arkansas's ace.
No, that's the crazy part, Zach. They've got another pitcher with even more wins, I think, who had 17 wins heading into the tournament. And she had almost double the strikeouts. She had like 150 something strikeouts. And so I think you're right in that this was a situation where they look at their matchups, right? And there are no givens in life, but this is about as sure thing a game as they have played in a long time. Mm-hmm. And so you don't have to go with your number 1 on day 1. You go with your number 2 and save your number 1 for the next round to try and sew the thing up. So I think that's exactly what was going on here. But when this is your number 2, holy smokes. I mean, this would have been by far the best pitcher in the A10, like far and away.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, she was... she was mowing down
even better than the ace at Dayton. I think would have been completely overmatched here.
Absolutely. The Billikens' only base runners were Allie Marietta, who drew a walk, and Chloe Rhine, who was hit by a pitch. Speaking of Rhine, I think it was, again, I'm going to say it was obvious that she had the best plate appearance in this game of any Billiken.
Yeah, she did. She really did. She looked like she belonged on the field every time she stepped in the batter box. And the funny thing, Zach, is she has really, like, once she won that Defensive Player of the Year, I think I kind of, for the A10 this season, I was kind of like, oh, like she's an even better defender than I realized. Like, I knew she was a pretty good shortstop, and then Stu did a really nice write-up on her this week. So to see her step into the batter's box and look like she belonged against a team of Arkansas, like their caliber, is really amazing, given that my mindset with her has been, she's a defensive player and kind of a scrapper at the plate. But yeah, she's really developed into a really a dynamic all-around player.
Yeah, I was surprised because we don't get a time to watch a lot of the softball. It's on at odd times,
Mhm.
um, but I don't think we realized that she was as good at the plate as she is, and I'm surprised she's not hitting a little bit closer to that top of the order. Maybe sitting behind Mallow to what protect her from being pitched around. But yeah, she was great in this one, despite not getting a hit and dropping a few, ground ball, or at least one ground ball. I want to talk about the run rule because I 8 runs seems low.
Yeah, it does. It does. And especially in a game like this, right? Like we've had, run rule outings in the past. It hasn't, it's just been, when it happens to or against SLU, it's more like, it was our day or it was their day. It's never been like this where it's just like, oh my God, this is an absolute gauntlet. But yeah, I don't know why it is 8 and not 10. It's kind of strange, right?
Yeah, I get like in the NCAA softball tournament, you're dealing with weather, right? So I think they take every opportunity to maybe end games when they can, but with the NCAA tournament, I feel like the 8 run rule. I mean, yes, SLU was losing by 10, but again, like I don't feel like that game was quote unquote out of hand, right?
Right.
So I mean, it did. I felt like they were a little shortchanged from 2 more innings of experience in the NCAA tournament. Maybe they get a couple more pitchers in, or one of the freshmen in, or you get a couple extra at bats for a player like Chloe Rhine. One of the
Right.
what Carson Janney only got one at bat in that game.
Yeah, I think that's right. I
Yeah.
think that's right. With that, I don't have the box score open right now, but yeah, that sounds right.
But I mean, I think we can kind of close the book on that game. Not much more to really say. I thought, I thought they battled. Look, this was not the biggest blowout of the first round of this tournament, not by a long shot. That goes to that honor goes to the soon to be division not at all St. Francis, PA. I think they got beat 18-0.
Yeah,
So
aren't they the ones who are
yeah,
dropping the
no,
D3
no, they're
like in a
just
year or two?
dropping it all
Yeah,
together, aren't they?
dropping sports altogether.
I think so.
Oh man, okay, I didn't realize that.
I thought so. Um, let's move on to that Saturday game. A 4-2 loss against Indiana, the Hoosiers. Um, I mentioned this on Twitter. This game was a beautiful color matchup. That bright Indiana Hoosier red against that Royal Billiken blue, man. I mean, it was pretty. It just got uh, uh, kind of muted by that kind of ugly Arkansas red in the background.
Yeah, yeah. I know. It's funny too because I've had that thought a lot when SLU and Indiana play in soccer, like especially in men's soccer because they play all the time.
Yeah,
That it always looks so good. That royal blue that
yeah.
pops so much, and that deep Indiana red. It's not the maroon. It's more of a true red. And yeah, you're right. Visually, a really nice game.
It looks like a Super Chex hockey machine or a foosball table. That
Right.
red versus blue. By the way, I think
Perfect contrast.
we need to quote unquote hang a banner here, Pete. The Billikens out hit the Hoosiers in this one. I believe it was 7-6. Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it was actually I mean a pretty respectable performance, all
I mean,
things
I mean,
considered. Indiana.
well, I mean, Canoyer after the game talked to. I mean, I think they felt like they were in it. I thought the Billikens absolutely had it could have taken this game, and I think they had multiple. I know they had multiple chances to do it, but it didn't turn out that way. It didn't translate into a Billiken victory. The season ends going 0-2 in the NCAA tournament. But like I said, they had at least two chances to ask a real question of Indiana, especially late in the game. But it was Indiana who got out to the early lead.
Yeah, that was a 2-0 lead, and that was 3 hits in the top of the first. And you already said, Zach, we out-hit them 7-6. So that means after the first inning, that's only 3 hits the rest of the way for Indiana. Like SLU really settled into a comfortable game after this, I think. But yeah, after that initial 2-0 3-hit inning, you're kind of like, okay, are we in for another long afternoon here? Luckily, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, no. And to be honest with you, I think the Billikens, both teams made mistakes in this game. And I thought that it didn't even have to be that way. I thought the Billikens, I don't know, there are hits, but like, I thought there were 2 errors on the Billikens. The one that fell in front of Sullivan should have been caught. Chloe Rhine didn't handle one well at shortstop early. And I really, I honestly think SLU should have could have won this game if they clean up the mistakes. That first inning put the Billikens in a jam, and put them behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it did, unfortunately. And after that inning too, I mean, you got yet another pretty quality performance from Isabel Royle, right? I mean, she in the back half of the season really settled into a nice season. But yeah, like you said, those defensive miscues were a problem. Both of those innings, but the defense really buckled down after that. They had 2 or 3 double plays to really get out of jams. And I think that says a lot to this team's character, that after the beating they took from Arkansas, after a shaky start here that included both, errors and some good hitting on Indiana's part, which, by the way, remember coming into this game, we said Indiana is one of the best hitting teams in the country. Yeah. So to out-hit them says a lot, but then for the defense to settle down too really shows, I think, a pretty tough mentality from SLU. Yeah, I thought they were pretty much nails mentally, especially.
But the Billiken defense did get some help from Arkansas in this game, especially from the running game. That's not to discredit the Billiken defense, but you look at the Mallow throws out their speed demon at third. I mean, it looked like she got her signals crossed on the steal. Looks like it was supposed to be a hit and run, or I don't know. It looked like the coach, the third base coach, was mad at the runner, not the hitter. Hitter didn't swing. It looked like a delayed steal, or so the announcer said. I don't really know what happened, but Mallow guns her down. And then, who else but Mallow again? SLU, I don't remember the exact context, but I think it was an error by SLU. And Indiana runner rounds third. The throw to home stops the runner. Mallow fakes a throw down to third. The runner bit hard to home, and Mallow cut her down. It was one of the best plays I think I've seen out of SLU softball in this season. The Billikens finally get on the board though in the third with a 1-out rally.
Yeah, Janney drove a single to left. Then Sullivan laid down a perfect bunt for a hit. Abby Olsa singled, and that brought up Abby Mallow again. Who else? With nowhere to put her, Mallow worked a walk out of Copeland, and the Hoosier pitcher scoring Janney. Unfortunately, they couldn't capitalize and stranded the bases loaded. But at this point, though, Zach, the Billikens have cut the lead to 1, and now you're looking around like, man, could they really pull this thing off?
The answer to that, unfortunately, is no. Indiana extended their lead in the 5th with a 2-run single by their big hitter, Minnick. And yet, she's really good. You still felt like SLU was in a non-terrible position here, especially after Mallow goes oppo to lead off in the 6th inning. This tournament would have felt hollow without a marshmallow home run.
It would have. And it's one of those situations too, Zach, where you're kind of like, yeah, hey, don't draw too much attention to yourself because like we want you to come back next year. And we
Yes.
don't want one of these blue bloods throwing some NIL bucks your way.
Well, we got to hold on to
Hey,
Royle.
who's a really good hitter? That's also true. That's also true. SLU does have a lot of good players coming back, but yeah, you'd hate for your record setting, and we'll get into that in a minute. But your record setting player to get poached because she had such a big tournament performance. Of course, I'm being a little facetious and a little selfish there, but yeah, SLU threatened to pull the game even closer immediately after that as Johnson singled and Rhine smashed a double that damn near cleared the fence. Zach.
Yeah, I believe this was the moment where I'm yelling, "Go, go, go, go! Get out, get out,
Yeah.
get out!"
Yeah.
And trying to will the ball with any energy possible, and it just didn't go.
Yep.
But again, Chloe Rhine, another outstanding at bat. Another battle and another really hard hit ball. She just was all over the pitchers in these two games.
She really was. I mean, 2 for 2 in this game with a walk. She was a pest. She was an absolute pest. The double that you just mentioned there. So, yeah, she made herself a really tough out in this tournament.
Pete, after that, Chris went down swinging, and despite a really great at bat from pinch hitter Scout Gallagher, in which she put some great contact on the ball, she also struck out swinging. Pete, I got to ask if Anna Christ's signature pitch is a rise ball.
You've been waiting all season for that, haven't you?
I was running out of time. I've run out of time, and I just had to shoehorn it in somewhere.
Well, that was pretty natural there, Zach. It totally was.
The only thing I can really complain about these two at bats, if anything, and again, I think we're nitpicking at this point, but like, I think both Christ and Gallagher swung at a ball 4. I think they both could have walked in there at bats, and that being said, like I said, Gallagher looks like the real deal at the plate. I thought she was, again, really comfortable in that batter's box against P5 pitching.
Yeah, and she's another young player too, right? I mean, she's a freshman, I believe. So you got to think that she's only going to look, more and more comfortable and get more experienced and swing at better stuff as her career goes on. So, yeah, I mean, to look the part like that as a freshman is really, really promising.
Yeah, it almost, the way she swung the bat, and you kind of looking at Christ's batting average in the DP slot, you wondered why we haven't seen more of Scout Gallagher. Just the way she swung that bat was, it was on that that Chloe Rhine. I don't know. It was interesting for sure to see her get a chance when we, again, hard to catch the games, and we don't get to see the backups very often. But for all intents and purposes, that would be the game, Pete.
Yeah, pretty much was. The Billikens showed some life in the 7th. Sullivan walked after Janney struck out, which allowed Mallow to get to the plate. She put a good swing on the ball, but just not nearly enough. And like we said before, after those first 3 hits in the first inning from Indiana, the Hoosiers just had 3 hits the rest of the game. It's really a not bad. It's a strong performance against one of the best hitting teams in the nation. The cadence of this game was such that you would think this was just kind of a run-of-the-mill A10 game for the Billikens, right? Like they looked the part, they were in it, they didn't back down against what was supposed to be a superior opponent. So really impressed at their disposition throughout this game. And Zach, I think we have to go over the contributions of a few players specifically here, starting with Mallow. Her 20th home run of the season tied an A10 record for a single season, because postseason marks do count against that, and she set the new conference record with 82 RBIs after her 2 RBIs in this game. Just can't say enough good things about her season.
No, I mean, she was awesome this season, and she was good in this tournament. It's hard to sit here and try to point out a bunch of things that she did well at the plate because, to be honest, she got like 4 or 5 at bats. Like there's not a real good sample size to work with. But again, she hit that bomb in the second game. She made 2 electric defensive throws, and I was kind of surprised that Mallow wasn't in the post-game interview. It was Rhine and Royle.
Yeah, what was the deal there? Like, I guess I wonder. I mean, Ryan had a great game. Obviously, nothing there, but you would think that your player, who's kind of the marquee player, the one who has the records this season, the one who just drove in both runs. I mean, nothing against Ryan and Royle.
No,
it's interesting choice.
Well, it's interesting because you look at this again. We're going back to the stark differential between a team from the A10 and a team from the SEC. I'm assuming that Arkansas has media availability after the games, like a real press conference, and SLU, you just don't really. I mean, you'll have probably the odd interview request with Stu Durando or Tom Timmerman now, but I just don't think there are they don't get many reps at all, if any, to do the press row type deal. And, maybe Mallow just isn't that type of, teammate.
Could be. I don't know. Certainly don't want to, I don't know. I
don't mean it in a bad way. I'm not saying in a bad way at all. I'm just saying maybe like she just isn't, she just doesn't, thrive in that sort of like, I mean, maybe, maybe Ryan and Royle are the more, outgoing players on the team, right?
Better on the mics, yeah.
Yes,
I mean, certainly, like coming off a men's basketball season where you and I talked several times about like these are a lot of introverted, quiet guys who don't show a whole lot of personality all the time. I certainly understand the reasoning behind that if that's the case. Which is Abby Mallow's great.
Well, yeah, but there was that incredible picture that I believe Jordan Neisler captured of Abby Mallow heading down to first after hitting the home run. I mean, she was fired up, and I think that's more fire than we saw this entire basketball season.
Yeah, I don't think that is incorrect. Yeah, for sure. But I also want to talk about these other 2 players, Zach, because I thought Rhine and Royle were both great, right?
Yeah, they were awesome. I love you and I both love Chloe Rhine. Like, I think she is the favorite player of this podcast. Again, she had a couple tough defensive plays again, but her trips to the plate were dangerous, and not just against Indiana. She was the one Billiken who looked like they could get a hit on Burnham.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, making herself a difficult out all weekend. I mean, I like this for her, like that being her plate identity, right? Is just like a tough player to get out. I do wonder, I think you made a good point about, like what do they do in the lineup with her going forward? The way that she looked at the plate to me feels like somebody who should be in your, 1 or 2 spot. So we'll see how that evolves because she's obviously coming back. And Natalie Sullivan's a senior. She's normally in that 1 spot in the lineup. So
Jenny had been in that spot. Jenny was in that spot leading into the tournament, and then they flipped it.
That's true. Yeah. Or sorry, yep, you're right. I'm just looking at the last box score. But anyway, I think there's obviously a lot of different things you could do with this lineup, but she just kind of has to me that sort of the look of a player who can reliably get on base and really get in an opposing pitcher's head early in a game. So I'd look somehow to get her in the top 3 if I could.
I think the craziest part of this tournament is you looked at the OPS and the batting average for the Billikens whenever they would get to the plate. And then you would see the batting average and OPS of like these Power 5 players. And there's maybe 1 or 2 in a lineup that are below like 300.
I know. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
Wild.
Yeah, especially as you see like kind of the standard batting metrics, right, in MLB have kind of come down, since you and I were younger and guys were putting up bigger numbers, and now it's just about either walking or hitting home runs. And so the contrast is stark when you look at the top of college softball, and like they really do put up these gaudy hitting numbers. And as a reminder, Indiana especially one of the highest in the nation, which makes them all the more impressive in this game. But Isabel Royle, Zach, too, I think deserves a little credit for her performance too.
Yeah, I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was interesting that Canoyer brought Royle in to finish off the Arkansas game, because I kind of figured she might bring in one of the freshmen like Prophet, Christ, or Gallagher, and think about next year. But it might have been Canoyer trying to get Royle's feet wet for Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be. I think that's probably a good point. And I don't know. I think it probably paid off. I thought that everybody performed well, so it seemed like she made the right call there.
Yeah. What did you? I mean, Royle. Royle looked fantastic after that first inning. Her first inning was a little rough, but after that first inning against Indiana, I mean, she was pitching to contact. She was, moving the ball. She was hitting her spots. She was just outstanding. And I think this program's in a great spot with someone like her, leading the charge as the number one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You look at who's coming back in this program. I've got their roster pulled up right now, and I think top to bottom they're in really good shape. Like, yeah, you lose Hawkman, but I think you're right. I think Royle slots in nicely as the number one. You lose Kaniski, you lose Sullivan, Ross, and Johnson, and that's it. You're bringing back a lot of really good pieces next year. You have what looks like a number one pitcher. You'll figure out it. Like, is Chris going to be that reliable number two? Do you want more depth at that position? Let her hit more. There's a lot of things you can do here. She's got good balance on this roster, and I think they're set up nicely to be at the top of the A10 again next season. I don't know, Zach. This program is in a surprisingly good place. As I look at it at the end of the season, 34 wins. That's the second highest total in program history. And, look from where we were, a month into this season. It's really incredible, the turnaround, and then to reach new heights like this and then be set up pretty well for next season. I really like what the vibes are pretty nice coming out of the softball program right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I thought the way they talked about Canoyer as a head coach and a mentor and that sort of figure was outstanding and awesome to see. And I'm excited to see if they can build on that. And hopefully the athletic department will get behind them monetarily a little bit for this one and get them something nice and shiny for the new park, or for the park.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's head over to men's basketball. Jelly Roll, Pete. Do you know anything about Jelly Roll?
I know of Jelly Roll. I have the most probably irritating answer about how I know about Jelly Roll. And it's because I listened to a podcast interview that he did with the New York Times. Because I listened to the New York Times news podcast. And I know. It's totally fair. I don't know anything about his music. I didn't know anything about his background. But in this 45-minute interview or whatever, he came across as a very thoughtful, introspective guy who has had a rough life and made some bad choices, but kind of righted the ship and is really doing right by a lot of people in his life, and seems to really have a positive outlook and just be kind of a good dude.
Yeah.
So I know he's my instinct would normally be to just like look at him and be like, wow, dude, you've really made some strong choices here. I don't know. I don't know if I like what you're all about. I know nothing about his music. My son likes one of his songs. I can't remember what it's called. But he seems like a really good guy. And so, when I see him show up in St. Louis, I'm rooting him on.
Yeah, he did show up in St. Louis, and he got some shots up on Tuesday at Chaifetz Pavilion. I took a couple pictures with the mayor of St. Louis. That's Corey Tate, and performed in a Billiken hat at Busch Stadium later that night. We haven't seen such Billiken visibility since Mac Miller wore the Billiken jersey at his Chaifetz Arena concert like 12 years ago. Pete, what's your favorite Jelly Roll song, though? That's what I got to know.
I'm trying to think of what the one my son likes is even called, but I don't know. I'm looking at like his top songs here. Wild Ones, Save Me. I'm not really sure. He's in bed now. I'm going to have to ask him another time, but
Jelly Roll?
I don't have a favorite. My son, which one he likes. I truly do not remember the title of it.
Jelly Roll is I believe Jelly Roll kind of got put on by one of my favorite rappers, Yellow Wolf. Yes, I unapologetically love Yellow Wolf. He was great in Peanut Butter Falcon. People forget that. But yeah, I think him and Jelly Roll are homies.
So what's your favorite? I mean, if you're
Unlive. Yeah, it's
all
about right. It says you can't unlive where you're from is like the chorus, is like the hook. Yeah, let's talk about schedule updates. We got some interesting stuff to talk about. As much as I love talking about Jelly Roll.
Yeah, we do have more updates, Zach. Some of these we knew were happening. We just didn't know the dates yet. Some dates are starting to fall into place. And the one we knew about was November 3rd against SEMO. That'll be our first, I believe, game of the season. Regular season game, I should say. We'll probably have some exhibitions before that. But now we know we have Lindenwood on November 11th, Zach. What do you think about, SEMO, I already like the kind of regional matchup there, right? Just a short way down the road in Cape Girardeau. But Lindenwood, that one's a little more local, Zach. What do you think about the closer to home matchup? Is this another SIUE trap game situation here?
Well, I think that, I think I like the strategy that if your schedule is not going to be good, you gotta at least, give me some local teams, right? I love that idea. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. I think I think it's a sign of weakness. I know a lot of the power programs do this, but they kind of just ignore the lower level teams that are nearest geographically to them, and I think that's weak. I think it's cool to play those teams, and I wouldn't phrase it quite like you do. If where you said if the schedule's going to be bad, you might as well play a close team. For me, it's more like you need a certain amount of bye games every year.
Yeah,
it might as well be this team instead of some far-flung team that nobody really knows anything about.
I like that better. So, that's a good take. I think that's a good outlook on it. We've got that return game with San Francisco. San Francisco's coming to town. That's on 12/13. Yeah. Bethune-Cookman, Pete, 12/17. It's a classic college hoops 2K legacy starter team. This is one of those teams that is at the front of the game that 98% of basketball fans or football fans or whatever have never heard of, and you get to take the reins as head coach.
Bethune-Cookman, we played them.
Yes, we did.
I remember what season was.
That was
it was just a few years ago.
I know. No, wait. Oh, I'm thinking we played them in Enterprise. When you were manager.
No. We played.
Or maybe before that.
I don't remember.
Maybe before that. I just remember the ticket stub. That's a weird way to remember it.
I thought it was like in the last 5 years or so, and I'm like, there we go. December 29th of 2019. Okay, so that's been a few more years than I realized. Time flies. But yeah, we played Bethune-Cookman December 29th. 2019, it was at Chaifetz, and we only won by 10. That's the reason I kind of remember that game, because it was one of those where we could just not really put them away. Like they really hung around for a long time. And then it was just kind of a frustrating game that way. SLU was up 7 at half and only outscored them by 3 in the second half. This was, not the prettiest game of the French Goodwin era. Yuri Collins at point guard. Collins had a rough game, by the way, in that one.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bethune-Cookman, that's why I remember them, is because that team kind of struggled against them.
On the 21st of December, the newest one is New Hampshire. That's one we did not know about. We do know, however, that Grand Canyon will be coming to town. And will Grandy be in attendance is the question on everybody's mind.
I don't think that's one of those alums that has the same relationship where he can just kind of pop in anytime.
No, I don't think so either.
Players. Yeah, no, we know Loyola Marymount will be a definite road game, but we don't have a date for that one yet. And then we have that Acrisure Series MTE. We don't have dates or opponents set yet for that either, but we know it'll be over Thanksgiving, like we said a couple of weeks ago when we found out we were in the thing. But I think that will include at least one home game, like kind of a bye game as part of that at home, and then we'll go on the road and play a game or two out in Palm Springs. So more to come on all of that. But yeah, New Hampshire, Bethune-Cookman, Lindenwood, I think were the new names that we confirmed here. New Hampshire wasn't very good last year, for what it's worth. So, these are bye games, Zach, but it's still good to start seeing names and dates pop up on the schedule.
Pete, talk to us about recruiting. Looks like 2 players got just run us down recruiting, because some stuff happened. I don't know about it. Learn me some things.
Yeah, I think the main note on recruiting this week is just that the staff is making it out to AAU events, which are now in full swing for the spring and early summer season. And they've seen a bunch of different teams, bunch of different players, but 2 that I want to highlight: Aiden Chronister. SLU was out to see him and his team, AAO Flight, which, if you remember, we offered him along with those twins. 2026 class. They all play at Sunrise Christian Academy in Wichita, and that's where the AAU event was this weekend. He did visit Mizzou, and I think SLU is going to try and get him on campus soon. He's a legit player, top 75 kid, 4-star recruit, 6'8", nice stretch player, very dynamic. I like him a lot. Mason McGee is another 2026 offer that SLU was out to see play recently, and they're going to try and get him on campus this summer for a visit as well. He's the point guard from Arizona, top 100 kid. He's only about 6'1", but true point guard, and I like his game a lot too. The other notes that I want to give for recruiting this week, we're going to close the loop on a couple 2026 offers that committed early. The first one was Cedric Tomes, guard from Minneapolis, who committed to Minnesota. He's staying with his local team, but that was a recruit that this staff had offered previously. The other one, the bigger name for SLU, is Sheik Pearson, 6'11" big man from John Burroughs, so he's a local kid. He has committed to Marquette. There's a rumor that's been flying around that he might reclassify as a 2025 recruit and go this year. I have not seen that official anywhere, but there's some thought that he might do that. So he commits to Marquette, and the one picture that I think I saw of him and Josh Schertz was also with Shaka Smart. So there was one of the kind of short coaches on either side of him. He's 6'11" in the middle of those two. They just happened to come out and see him play the same day a couple months ago. I want to say they were playing SLU High in that game as well. So anyway, that's it for recruiting this week. Much more to come as this spring AAU season develops.
Let's talk about Yuri Collins. Let's update on Yuri Collins. He signed with the Scarborough Shooting Stars of the Canadian Elite Basketball League, whatever the hell that is. Actually, this sounds a lot like it's like a summer league that, you just kind of go for fun. It's like, oh, this opportunity. Do you want to go to Canada for a little bit this summer and play basketball? Okay, fine. Go on up and play like I don't know how to describe it. I don't know, dude. They have 10 teams across 2 leagues. It's Eastern and Western Division. Scarborough won the title in 2023. Like I said, it plays over the summer, starts up in the next week. Looks like he will still be able to get back and play in the G League in the fall. A10 portal one thing to talk about.
Yeah, just won this week, Zach. Dimitri Gardner from Augusta University in D2. He was one of the top scorers in all of D2, averaging 23.2 points a game, and he ended up at Fordham. So once again, they've got another dynamic scorer. I kind of like what Fordham is doing, and I think they're doing it kind of quietly and in a trickle, but for all of the sort of doubters who said they got one impressive recruit and that was kind of it, I don't think that's true anymore. They've got at least 3 that have kind of opened my eyes here a little bit. So I think they're going to have multiple scoring options next year. And if those guys can play some defense and play together, they're probably going to be better than they were last season. Although I know that's not saying a whole lot.
Pete, talking about opening eyes, I don't think there are many people that listen to this show whose eyes aren't open to 2 men in a garden. But for those who are still eyes wide shut, Pete, open some eyes about 2 men and a garden.
I mean, for me, Zach, it is just like we're now hitting the time of year where it's hot. I've been outside all weekend long, and this is the kind of like summer flavor profile, the fresh, chunky garden salsa that 2 Men in a Garden is known for, is the ideal summer snack. You mentioned in the top of the show during your little spiel that you found some medium canteen style out there in the wild, and that's it. That's right up my alley. And then, as you said, it's the perfect grazing thing to have on hand. Can't recommend it strongly enough. We wouldn't be doing this obviously if we didn't actually like it, believe in it, and enjoy it ourselves. So yeah, we think you should make it your summer flavor as well. Don't sleep on those fruit salsas, by the way. Those are really, really good summer snacks. Yep. But go over to 2meninagarden.com, check out their whole product line, and treat yourself to these delicious summer salsas. I think you'll like them as much as we do. 2meninagarden.com.
On the women's basketball side of things, it has been eerily quiet, Pete.
Yeah, nothing really happened this week, Zach. I keep waiting for Markavia Shavers to commit somewhere. She hasn't yet. We've got a couple more spots to fill on the roster on SLU's end, and that hasn't happened yet. So we'll just have to follow up with them later. But there's been a little bit of a lull in terms of news coming in and out of that program for now.
Heading over to the baseball diamond, they started off this week with a 9-5 loss against Western Illinois on Tuesday the 13th.
Yeah, I think the biggest story out of the final road game of the year for SLU is that the third base umpire's name was Don King, Zach. That's the one note that jumped out of the box score at me. I loved to just like kind of picture Don King being the third base umpire in this game. That's just it's entertaining image, whatever you can do, right?
I don't think you can get him to wear a hat.
You probably couldn't, although I'd like to see him try. This was a midweek staff game. The Bills used 9 pitchers. 5 of them gave up at least 1 run. Hank Gomrick had 3 RBIs, 1 on a single and 2 on sac flies. And then Max McGuire and Ethan Sitzman each scored twice. So, look, midweek, one of those games. It's not a big, not a whole lot to take away from that one.
No, we'll choose to take away more from a 13-5 win over George Washington on Friday the 16th. Gombrich hit a 2-run shot to get the scoring going in the first. SLU added 2 more with an RBI single from Brendan Stressler in the fourth. And then the Bills really piled it on. Riley Effrig went 3 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 4 runs, including a 3-run homer. The Billikens also stole 5 bases in this one. Owen Kelly turned in a quality 5-inning start for the win, allowing just 1 earned run. This was win number 30 on the season, Pete. They followed it up with what can only be described as college baseball is stupid game.
Yeah, it sure is, Zach. This one in particular, very stupid game. George Washington got out to a 9-0 lead through 4 innings, and the Billikens roared all the way back. 2 runs in the 5th, 5 in the 6th, and then 2 more in the 7th to tie it. The Hippos of George Washington retook the lead with 1 run in the 8th. Then they made it 11-9 with 1 more in the 9th. In the bottom of the 9th, Hayden Moore hit an RBI double to make it 11-10, but the comeback unfortunately fell short. Moore led SLU with 3 RBIs. Chase Beatty and Ethan Sitzman had 3 hits apiece, and Sitzman also led SLU with 3 runs. It's disappointing. It's one of those games, Zach, when you see it's 9-0, you're kind of like, okay, I can be done with it. But then all of a sudden I start getting an alert and it's 9-7, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I guess I can't give up on this after all.
No, this one I saw it go 9-0. I'm like, that game's not over. Because I remember in that first game they talked about the George Washington bullpen not being very good. Shout out Colin Surrey.
Yeah.
But this one was odd. They called a clock violation on the Billikens for the second out of the 9th inning. Something that has not been called all season long here in St. Louis. But yeah, just a tough way to lose a game, especially showing such grit to come all the way back and then to lose it like that just hurts. They did bounce back though. The last game of the last game of the regular season, a 6-4 win against George Washington on Sunday the 18th. This game also needed a comeback from the Bills. This time it worked. Down 4-2 after 6. McGuire ties it with a 2-run home run in the 7th, and SLU took the lead with a Cameju Sanchez solo shot in the 8th. Chase Beatty followed that up with an RBI single. By the way, Sanchez's parents were in town from Hawaii for Senior Day, so that was very cool. Max McGuire, aka Kyle Cassidy, paced the Bills with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Austin Newig led with 3 hits. Steven Hernandez was on the mound for the late tie and go ahead. He got the win. Charlie Weber got the save. His brother Jack was the starter and was on the mound for 2 runs, both unearned. Unfortunately, Jack Weber left the game with an oblique injury. He tried to give it a go through one more pitch and one more warm-up pitch, and it just wasn't going to happen. It was Senior Day, and Jack Weber, Carter Kelsey, Kobe Allen, Richie Simprick, Chase Miner, Preston Salazar, Cameju Sanchez, Ethan Sitzman, and Hayden Moore were all honored. And that sends the Billikens into the A10 tournament as the 3 seed. Pete, walk us down the things that people need to know about the A10 tournament.
So as you're listening to this, the A10 tournament starts tomorrow, May 20th. It runs through the 24th at Capital One Park in Tysons, Virginia. This is Georgetown's home field, and I think this is where they held the event last season. George Mason is the 2 seed. They've got the local edge. Major missed opportunity for George Washington, Richmond, and VCU. All of them missing a tournament held in Northern Virginia. GW and Richmond were actually tied with Dayton for the last spot, but Dayton got in on tiebreakers. So one more win for either of those teams this season, and they'd have been in and playing pretty close to home. But unfortunately, they're going to miss. 3-seed SLU will open up against 6-seed Fordham. It's kind of an interesting matchup because the 2 teams did not meet in the regular season. Fordham finished 15-15 in league play, 25-31 overall. Rhode Island is the unlikely 1 seed of the season. They will have a first-round bye. and then only 7 teams get in, so you've got the 4 and the 5 to play them, and then the winner of the 2 and 7 matchup will play the winner of SLU and Fordham. That would be George Mason and Dayton. And then there's the double elimination bracket on the bottom half. So it's kind of like the softball one. You need to lose twice before you're out. But nevertheless, this is it's a good opportunity for SLU. I think the bracket is fairly favorable, and I think it's honestly pretty wide open, Zach.
Yeah, I do like that we're going to get one evening game for the Billikens in this one.
Yeah, I didn't. You know what? I did not even look at game times, but you're right. We start with a 7 p.m. game. Sorry, these are Eastern time, so I guess it'll be 6 p.m. on Tuesday. If we win, it's 2 p.m. St. Louis time on Wednesday, and if you lose, oh gosh, what would that be? At least, yeah. So that would be Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Yeah. So hey, you know what? Maybe they do us a favor and lose one, so we get to see 2 games. Hey, that's a terrible idea. Please don't do that.
No. Play as early as possible. That means you keep winning.
Yep. All right, that's gonna do it. Make sure to check out the Billikens in action on ESPN Plus Tuesday at 7 p.m. and check out this women's college World Series. This is a fantastic tournament. Thank you all for listening. Pete, go Bills.
Go Bills.